NC State and Marquette could easily come down to which team does better on the defensive end against the other team's unique player. Okay? Both NC State and Marquette have a player that is unlike anyone else that these teams have seen. And I think everyone is very familiar in the triangle with DJ Burns. Marquette has Tyler Kolek, who is every bit as unique, if the complete opposite of what DJ Burns is. But the reason why I bring this up is one of my theories when it comes to the NCAA tournament, and it really started with the Syracuse 2-3 zone led by Jim Boeheim all those years. I actually covered Syracuse at a previous job for a while. And the joke was Syracuse was always on the bubble. The joke was Syracuse was always one of the last four teams, or first four out or last four in. But then almost every time they made it, they'd find themselves in the Sweet 16. They'd find themselves in the Elite Eight. They'd find themselves making a run. And I was trying to justify it because I'd watch them all season in the ACC, and they'd be going up against the Dukes, the Carolinas, the States, the Wakes, the Boston College. I'd watch them, and I'd go, I don't know, they're not that great. I don't know, they're nothing special. I don't see an NBA player. I don't see this player. I don't like. There were guys I liked, but there weren't like a reason to expect them to do anything super special. And then it hit me. They're just different, right? That 2-3 zone was something that teams not in the ACC very rarely saw, right? You might see it for a couple of possessions, but you didn't see it being played as often or as well as Jim Boeheim and that staff played it. And so oftentimes I would, like, in my bracket, and I actually had some success with this, which, telling someone you had success with brackets is like, opening yourself up to be made fun of. Yeah. But I would just take Syracuse all the way until I had my bracket fit them facing another ACC team. Because I was like, oh, none of these teams know what to do. Oh, this team absolutely does, and they'll beat them. And it was just a unique thing. It's like playing a triple option team in football. It's hard.
Like when you play Navy.
Yeah, it's hard. One year I was the scout team quarterback when we were playing Navy. Let's just say, am not a running quarterback at that point in my career. I was looking at coach going, I'm not giving them a good look here. We're running a triple option. I'm a drop back passer. But that's just a side note story for another day. But it's you don't have a week isn't enough to prepare for something unique that you've never seen before. So NC State, DJ Burns has benefited from that. These teams that aren't in the ACC, they can watch all the film that they want. You can't simulate it, right? You can't have like your biggest guy carry around 2 45-pound plates and grow 6 inches. And it's like, all right, there's DJ Burns on the practice floor. You just can't do it. So the first time they see it is out on the court. Tyler Kolek is similar. It's a similar deal. Now, he's not as visually like you look at DJ Burns, you're like, gosh, I've never played against anybody like this. Tyler Kolek's like a 6'3" point guard. I've played against a billion 6'3" point guards. Yeah. But what he has is kind of that Steve Nash thing. And I'm not saying he plays that way, but maybe someone else did it before Steve Nash. I remember Steve Nash doing layups off the wrong foot, where, normally you jump off the left foot for a right-hand layup. And then he would like jump off the right foot early and like scoop it out way in front of him because he knew he was short and he couldn't jump and he had to get it off. He had to get the shot off. So he would like the defense wouldn't have jumped yet because they were waiting for him to come back to his other foot. Kolek does a lot of that. He does a lot of like, this is just awkward, right? If you're a defensive player, you build up certain expectations, right? Everyone our age, and Dennis, I don't know if you were like, if you even played pickup basketball, you knew what was coming when someone hit the 2 big high dribbles with their right hand. You were about to get an Iverson cross. Yeah. It was just because everybody grew up watching the same player, and it was just doop. You'd be like, all right, here it comes. You try to get ahead of it as a defender. Kolek is the guy that's going to do 2 big dribbles with his right hand and then go right. And it's like, no, like he's just awkward. He's a southpaw boxer. He's a triple option team. And that is hard to game plan for. So it's kind of like exactly what I think NC State has benefited from so much. In a different way, they're facing it against Marquette and have to face the challenge that they've been putting on everybody else. speaking of the uniqueness, Kevin Keats, the head coach of the Wolfpack, was asked if this was as unique of a team as he's ever coached.
When you look at, teams that are in the Sweet 16, you always try to figure out how did they get here. Well, we got here because we're very unique. I want you to think about this. We've got a traditional, old school, back to the basket post guy who can score. Most teams don't have that. We're starting a point guard who is a legitimate point guard. Most teams have, kind of a combo guard as we've had in the past. And then we've got a lot of good pieces around it. And, we've got a 6'1" combo guard in DJ Horn who could really score the basketball. And so I think one of the things that's helped us out is because we're different, it's actually helped us.
That's exactly the point I'm trying to make.
100%.
Marquette also has some of that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fighting fire with fire. What I want you to do is pay attention for this. And I watched pretty much they were condensed games, pretty much 2 full games of Marquette getting ready for this. DJ Burns is going to catch it on the block. He is going to turn over his right shoulder, so he's going to turn to his right, and he is going to use his left hand to either put it off the glass with a little hook, or if he's on the other block, he'll coming towards the middle of the floor, it'll be a hook shot in. And you'll see it 10, 15 times tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Tyler Kolek for Marquette is going to drive to his left. He's going to use his right shoulder to lean into the defender. He's going to extend his right arm. The defender, probably after the play, will look at the ref and say he pushed off. There will be no call.
Nope.
And then he is going to use the left hand and kind of that Steve Nash scoop up off the glass. And he's probably going to do it 8 to 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
They have these moves that they go to, which seem like that's the move. That's all he's got.
Yeah.
Just stop him from doing that. But it's just not that easy. They get to their spots, and they're really good at it.
People have been trying to figure out Alex Ovechkin on a one-timer on the power play for his entire career, and guess what? You haven't done. Stop it.
Yeah.
So it's that same type thing. When you do something so well, you keep going to it, and people see it, but they still can't stop it. Simple as that.
And the irony is, both of these guys are not the leading scorers on their team.
No, they're not.
So Cam Jones is going to be a more traditional scorer for Marquette. DJ Horn is going to be a more traditional scorer for NC State. And they both need to get their shots off, and they need to do their thing. But the uniqueness of the 2 other guys, who I believe are, when they're playing their best, probably the 2 best players on their team. DJ Horn, DJ Burns, I'll just say DJ is the best player on the team. But the uniqueness of it and how the other teams adapt to it, I think is going to be the difference in this one. If somehow NC State can make Marquette's unique player, Kolek, work a little bit harder, even if he has a success, work a little bit harder, I think that could end up being the difference. And the same is true on the other end. You have to try to stop DJ Burns. The drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan.
It's one thing, like you brought the analogy of, when you face like a 2-3 zone, like Syracuse used to run for a long time. It's like when you watch film or another team, like, man, they really play fast. When you actually get that on the floor, on the field with them, you're like, oh, they're different level fast. Like you see big from DJ Burns, but when you actually stand next to him, you're just like, oh. Because you've been in the locker room with standing next to DJ Burns, and it's kind of one of those things that I knew you were like a big dude. You're a big dude. And it's even for a guy like for Marquette or whomever they may face in the Elite Eight, whether it's Duke or Houston, it's going to be that same type deal. It's like, oh, okay.
All right. I played college football, and I hear a lot of people talk about how big the offensive linemen are.
Mm-hmm.
I think basketball leads the league in, they're much bigger in person. Because
Filipowski's that same thing.
100%.
Filipowski is a lot bigger than you think.
Football players have like slot receivers.
Mm-hmm.
So in the huddle, you have like a relative, right? Like okay, the slot receiver, he's 5'10".
Yeah.
Okay, now that guy looks big next to the 5'10" guy. You get like an accurate judge for how big the line is. In basketball, there's times where like everyone on the floor is 6'5" and above, and
Houston,
like Houston, like a few teams, and it's like, oh, so that 7-footer does like the scale is all thrown off in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
DJ Burns is a big dude. He is. There's no other way to describe it, but like startlingly big when you interact with him.
The size, but again, it's also the footwork and the nimbleness of his feet and just the touch that he has around the rim. Because when you see that too, like in person, you're like, well, that's better than like most like finesse guys.
That's the uniqueness, is because that's exactly what it is. Because the uniqueness is when you see DJ Burns, you see the size, you're startled by it. You think, like, I have to get into a deep squat. I have to get my forearm up, and I have to put all of my weight against him because he's going to use this power against me. And then as soon as he sees you do that, he's like, got him, right? Because now it's judo, right? Now it's using your own momentum to throw you across the floor as I'm spinning towards the bucket. That's part of his uniqueness, and it's why it's so difficult to simulate. And similarly, again, Tyler Kolek is hard to simulate. Kevin Keats, who we just played a clip of, here's another one of him talking about the challenge that not just the unique piece, but also Cam Jones, their leading scorer, presents. It's coming. We'll have the clip here for you in a second. Graham's working hard.
Those guys are really good. And I'm trying to figure out which one's better. And I know that's not fair to them, but they complement each other in different ways. And, both get to the left hand is really good and talented. And that's a major challenge for us because in order for us to have success, we've got to do a good job of controlling those guys. And they play extremely well. They play extremely well together. They're older. They understand they have played together. And that's something that you can't substitute. And so top of our scouting report is those two guys. But when I say that, Marquette is so much more than just the guard play. They've got good play all over the floor.
Once again, that was Kevin Keats, the head coach of the NC State Wolfpack.